Hello and thank you so much for clicking on this video. As you can see from the title, we'll be talking about Brimmy for about 30 minutes. And as a precursor, this is a high-level guide. I am assuming basic understanding of the character, and I am making this video in order to elevate the game of those who already play Brimstone. Now, I'm a high platinum Brimstone lock with absolutely garbage aim. However, according to rank distribution, I'm better than 95% of players, and I have done that without being able to hit any of my shots. So when it comes to using Brimstone's abilities to win games, I have gotten pretty good at it. Now, I'm going to start broad in this video and get increasingly more specific. So if what I'm saying confuses you, just stay with me. I will try to show in-game examples of everything I'm saying. So I will start with a rundown of Brimstone's kit and how to use that tactically, and then I will finish with analyzing one of my own games. And if you want to see more of the Brimstone himself, I'll link my Twitch down below so you can catch me there. Anyway, not to waste any more time, let's get into it. Before I get into Brimstone's kit, we need to talk broader. Some dead European chess player once said, "Strategy guides tactics," and it's important to understand Brimstone's strategy at a high level in order to execute good tactics in unique situations. Brimstone is a team player with the strongest map control in the game. This puts Brimstone in a strong position to be the IGL in-game leader. As Brimstone, you should be calling the executes and rotates, and therefore the biggest skill you need to have as a Brimstone is keen game sense and awareness, keeping track of all the information given to your team in a round and using that information to counter the opposing team's positioning. Here are some rules that will help guide your team to the correct site on offense. Keep track of gunfire. Start counting players. If you hear more than 3 guns or 3 local abilities when pushing a site, you should rotate. Your goal as a team is always to go to the site with the fewest players on it. If you get a pick on A site, go B. The enemy team is forced to rotate, and it should be an easy take with numbers advantage on B site. Now, if you trade on a site, say one of your teammates dies and one of the enemy team dies on B site, you have to push it, because it is the only time in the round where you're going to have a man advantage. So those were some good rules of thumb on offense. Now let's talk about defense for a little bit. Now on defense as Brimstone, you should usually play mid, supporting both sites from far away and gathering information to relay to your team. As Brimstone, you do not want to die early in the round since your util gets stronger as the round goes on. For example, it's more useful to pop a smoke in a choke point with 40 seconds remaining than it is to pop a smoke in a choke point with 2 minutes remaining. Now here's a mistake I see a lot of players, not just Brimstone players, making, and it's not knowing the rotate conditions when playing on defense. So let's just go over the most common ones. If your team gets a pick on a site, do not rotate. Say you're on A site and the enemy team is positioning at B site. However, your teammate kills one of the attacking players. Usually people would rotate just because the enemy team is positioned at B site. However, if one of them dies, they are probably going to rotate out and go A. So you do not want to rotate if your team gets a pick. Now, if your team trades on a site, one of your teammates dies, one of their teammates dies, you need to use your judgment to rotate. Have they rushed sites in past rounds, or do they play a more passive style? Use your judgment in game sense to see if you should rotate. Now, if your teammate dies on a site, you are forced to rotate. And I know I just said that as an offensive player, if you get a pick, you should switch sites, but as a defensive player, it is your best option to rotate, because if you do not rotate, then they just take the site for free. At least by rotating, you are delaying the bomb plant, and you are making them travel the map and count down the timer a little bit more. On defense, Brimstone is fluid. He is everywhere, stalling pushes with his smokes and molly and keeping track of the enemy's positioning. Now that was just a very brief guide of some higher level strategy you should use as Brimstone. Obviously, there's a lot more I want to cover, but I just don't have time for it in this video. Now, if you want to see a video that covers a wider array of higher level strategy, I will link one in the description because I haven't made one yet. Now, here is some other Brimstone information that doesn't really fit into the rest of the video, but it also isn't higher level strategy. So let's get started. Number 1, use a phantom. As a character who has smokes, you should be able to spray through them, and the high fire rate complements your stim beacon as well. On defense, the Odin is very strong on Brimstone, especially against teams that like to rush sites. So if you're having trouble holding B site, they just rush it every round, save up, buy an Odin, and stim to win. As they rush through your smoke, you should be able to mow them down. And another rule of thumb is all of Brimstone's kit can be thrown or cast from distance. So you should never use any of Brimstone's abilities when you're in line of sight of an enemy. It just isn't the time for that. Use all of your abilities to prepare to go in line of sight of the enemy. That's the point. So never get caught unprepared. You should know how to use your abilities from a safe position. Alright, so we just went over strategy. Now let's talk about the part of the video that you guys have been wanting to see, which is how to use his kit to set up good tactics to win rounds. Now, I'm going to be going over his smokes first, and we're going to be doing this in Bind because this is Brimstone's most underrated map. Anyway, let's get started with the smokes.
Smokes down!
One concept that I want to talk about that I haven't heard in any other guide is something that I've dubbed smoke aggression, which is how aggressive are you going to place your smokes when taking a site? And this is specifically on offense. I'm going to be doing offense first and then defense. And the answer is as aggressive as you can get away with, right? So let me show you what I mean by this. This is a very passive smoke setup right here.
Launching smoke!
This is the opposite of aggressive. Because this allows for a safe plant from A short. However, it doesn't require you to clear most of the site, and it doesn't give you control of most of the site. So in a 5v5 situation where everything is even, these would be bad smokes. Or they would be too passive, I'd say. Now, aggressive smokes would be, say, to smoke CT
Launching smoke.
in heaven. So when the odds are even, you're going to want to put down the standard smokes, or, you know, the in-between, the Goldilocks, which for A site on Bind specifically, but you're going to have to learn these yourself.
Launching smoke.
Is like that. This is a compromise between being aggressive and being passive, because it cuts off some LOS, which allows you to clear the first half of site, and it also leaves this, which should allow you to clear backside. However, if it was a, say, 4v3, right, in our favor, what I'd want to do is put down the aggressive smokes, like so. Or say I'm in like a 2v5 or 2v4, I'm gonna just want to guarantee the plant.
Smokes down.
And I'm gonna put down these smokes. Just go plant my own smoke right here, right? You're gonna want to smoke as aggressively as you can when taking sites on offense. Oh, and another rule, just it's a quick thing, but it helps a lot. When you're smoking doorways, you always want to make sure the edge of your smoke is flush with the doorway, so that they can't peek out from multiple angles. Right here, they are forced to take a bad engagement, and let's say this smoke right here,
Launching smoke.
right? I'm just drawing a line between here and trying to make the smoke as flush with that line as I can. And you can create one-ways on pretty much every elevated surface by just doing that.
Smokes down.
So, I mean, each one-way has a use. Hit someone cubby, boom, someone planning, and of course the standard, like,
Smokes down.
you know, I can shoot their feet, they can't see me. This is a one-way for A short. So, this is how you create one-ways as Brimstone. One thing that I see Brimstone players getting confused a lot is how to smoke for retake. To do this, you just have to think, where's the enemy team going to be playing the bomb? So let's say the bomb's planted right here on A site.
Right here.
Right. Most people are going to hold from U-Haul and from A short. So, I mean, intuitively, just boom, boom.
Launching smoke.
Now, if you happen to know that nobody is A short, they pretty much have to be U-Haul and showers. You can go boom like that. Or if you have cleared showers, you can just smoke off all of U-Haul.
Smokes down.
And, you know, say there's two players in U-Haul and they're 2v2, this makes it almost impossible to play as the attacking side. So just think about what information you have as a team. Like if I've cleared showers, if my team's cleared showers, I'm not going to smoke that. Try to cut off line of sight from where you think they're playing the bomb. So one more thing that I don't see Brimstone players doing enough is using smokes in unique situations, right? They'll use smokes on retake and they'll use smokes on executes. But there's a lot of games where you're going to get into unique situations. Say the spike is down long, right? You peek out, you're playing aggressive long, you kill the person, he drops a spike. What you're going to immediately want to do is smoke that, and maybe even molly it.
Molly!
Because, you know, that's a win condition right here. You're going to want to use till to secure it. Now, you can also use smokes to contain the enemy team when they're at a disadvantage or a numbers disadvantage. So let's say it's late in the round, say 20 seconds left, and we're in a 3v2. We've had a hard read on them going B site, and we know that they're long. We know that they're all long. Here,
Smoke's down.
these smokes are great because it contains the enemy team. They can't retreat or rotate, nor can they push site without having to push through smoke. And I actually use this a lot when it's like, say like a 1v3, honestly, and I know that there's somebody in elbow. I'll just do this.
Launching smoke.
Right? It doesn't give him any good options, so it's a good way to secure rounds when you have a numbers advantage, just boxing the enemy team in. Oh,
Launching
and
smoke.
one more thing about Brimstone smokes is, and I feel like most of you know this, it has fog of war inside the smoke, so you can hypothetically
Right
pass players on the other half of the smoke without seeing each other, but it also has
Smoke's down.
a clear edge. So what I mean by that is you see this circumference. On the inside of the smoke, if someone decides to push this, make sure that you're in range of this clear edge, right, where they're most likely to push, so that you can see their gun first. Right, if I stand in my smoke like this, and the enemy's coming
Right
from
here.
here, this isn't advantageous.
Smoke's
Let me show
down.
you again. So they're coming
Right
from
here.
here. Standing here is not advantageous. We're going to see each other at the same time. Standing here is, because their gun's going to poke through the edge first. Alright. Oh, and one more thing I'd recommend is, and this I kind of already went over this, is being able to smoke on the fly. So, again, for unique situations, is just think about line of sight. So let's say I'm rotating
here.
through CT and I'm planting the bomb, right? Now I'm not gonna give the normal plans like U-haul and of course not have enter CT because I'm approaching from a different position. So here are the smokes that I would probably give. Boom, boom, and probably I'd be more afraid of U-haul,
Smoke's
right?
down.
So again, just adapt the smokes to the position that you're approaching from, and think about the angles. Don't just autopilot smoke default when, say, you're going showers, right? Your team is going showers.
Launching smoke.
That would be a terrible set of smokes. This smoke is for
Right here.
heaven when you're from a short, but it doesn't do anything when your team's coming from showers, right? So just adapt your smokes to the positioning of your team, the enemy team.
Molly.
Alright, the next thing is mollies, and I am going to be talking about offense first, and I'm not just going to talk about the molly because it's pretty simple. Instead, I'm going to talk to you about how to play post-plant as Brimstone. But this is something I don't see Brimstones exploiting nearly enough, or even correctly, and it's how to play the post-plant as Brimstone. And in general, your goal is to buy as much time as possible. That's intuitive, obviously, but execution varies. So let's talk about that. Alright, now there's multiple strategies for post-plant as Brimstone. If you're playing only for your lineups on Brimstone, you are not helping your team defend the site, right? So what could happen here is that the enemy team could just completely overpower your team, and they, start defusing the bomb before you're ready, or before that the timer is low enough, right? So in general, I mean, of course there's unique situations where playing your lineup is the best move, but I wouldn't default to it, right? So instead, my favorite strategy as Brimstone is to, of course, be the last alive in order to molly, but also be exerting pressure on the point. Now the question is, how do you do that, right? And I'll show you how, and I'll tie it into one of my favorite strategies when playing Brim. So let's say I plant here.
Right here.
Right. Common angles are pretty much the only angles that
here.
come from are short.
Right here.
These three, right? Now, let's say I'm just going to watch whatever isn't covered, and I'm going to fall back immediately. So let's say no one's covering short. I'm going to cover that because I don't want to get flanked, right? And someone peeks. I'm going to shoot one shot, right, and immediately give up the angle. I am not going to take the entire gunfight. I'm going to let my team do it. I'm going to calm it, right? I am just going to stall for as long as possible. And, if I can get in a 2v1, I'll do it, but I'm baiting the heck out of my teammates, and I'm giving up short
Right
here,
here.
and I'm giving up everything that I can, but I'm making sure to contest it first because that slows it down. So, you know, I'm not just gonna sit here for the whole round. I'm gonna peek heaven first, right? And as soon as he shows, I'm gonna fall back, and then
Right here.
I'm gonna do this. And this slows it down. This slows the enemy team down, and it keeps you alive. And then as a follow-up to that, what I like to do is, as soon as I feel like I'm about to die, I hear footsteps, right? Before I'm even in question of dying,
Molly.
I'll shoot a molly straight up in the air. And then he peeks. Maybe I win, maybe I don't, right? But 8 seconds later, that molly's gonna fall down. And this is my favorite post-plant strategy as Brimstone. It's to take an aggressive line of sight, fall back, maybe I land a lucky headshot, maybe I don't, but it stalls time, and then as soon as my time is up, shoot a molly straight up in the air. And there are so many rounds where I have died, but the molly wins the round for me 8 seconds after I die, 16 seconds after I die. And this one is pretty cheesy, but it works. So this one again goes in tandem with the strategy I was talking about earlier.
Launching
right?
smoke.
Where I'm gonna play an aggressive line of sight, right? He peeks, I fall back. But instead of holding this, I'm just gonna hide in this smoke. And this smoke is acting as a timer because it lasts 20 seconds. It's a 20-second timer. And as soon as this smoke dissipates, give it a second, pretty soon.
Molly.
If I shoot a molly straight up in the air, as soon as my smoke dissipates, assuming I put the smoke down right after I planted the bomb, it's impossible to defuse. The enemy team cannot defuse it. So that's a pretty niche strategy, but you know, I use it a fair bit. And it can keep you alive for an extra critical few seconds just hiding in your own smoke. Another strategy you can use is, of course, you can
Open up the sky.
always
Miles ready.
tandem like this, right? This is strong.
Molly.
That effectively, it's a strong deny for 12 seconds. Now here's a very niche strategy I use when I am in an extremely disadvantageous position and I need to deny post plant for more than 12 seconds, which is what I get with my ult and my molly. Again, denying post plant for 20 seconds. I'm gonna cut off line of sight using my ultimate as a smoke. Right, I'm cutting off line of sight from short here, the bomb's planted here. And I'm just gonna pop that, right?
Open up the sky.
Let it burn for a second. Go to the center, on top of where the bomb's presumably planted. And then immediately start shooting. And that last step is critical, shooting. Because it takes 8 seconds of travel. Obviously, if they start defusing, if they just kill you and start defusing, they can defuse the bomb before the molly lands. So just the threat of you killing them, even if you're 50 HP, should slow them down enough to not defuse the bomb in time. And that molly should land, and it should effectively deny the defuse for 20 seconds. On offense, you always want to be using your mollies to either guarantee a kill or to delay the defuse. If you're using your molly for something other than those two things, you're bad at Brimstone, frankly. Those two things are critical. Now, on defense, you can get a little bit more creative with how you use your molly. In general, you want to use it to stall pushes or to guarantee damage onto the enemy team. If you hear the plant, right, and you know where they're planting, if you molly it, this is a good molly for planting on short, it'll pretty much guarantee damage, even if they stop planting and run away. You're gonna get chip damage on them, so I always like to molly in ways that either, you know, force them out of a position, right? You can always guarantee a kill, say someone's heavy.
Molly.
Alright, he's forced to run out. Shoot him. You can use it to guarantee a kill, but if that doesn't happen, use it to guarantee damage, or to delay a push. And that's how you use Brimstone's mollies on defense.
Stim beacon here.
Alright, now let's talk about the ugly duckling of Brimstone's kit, which
Stim
is
beacon here.
the Stim beacon. Now, in my opinion, this is an underrated ability. As a Brim main, I have found some pretty creative ways and use cases for the Stim beacon. But it's pretty straightforward. And in general, you always want to put your Stim beacon down where your teammates are going to be fighting for a prolonged period of time. So on site, where the bomb is planted
Stim beacon here.
is always a good place to put a stim beacon. And if you're stimming multiple people, it's even better. Oh, fun fact, your stim beacon can go through walls. So let's say you're holding site and you have a teammate in U-Haul.
Stim beacon down.
This is strong. You're stimming 2 people. Right? He's holding this angle. And say this one holding it short, right? Stim beacon can boost everyone holding site, every LOS. That's super strong. And another way to use Brimstone Stim beacon is to lure your teammates into dangerous territory. And I know it sounds weird, but it's a psychological thing where, like, say your team's like, you've dropped your smokes on A site and your team needs to push, but they're getting cold feet. What I'll do
Stim beacon down.
is throw a stim beacon out here, and from HR they're just like, ooh, stim beacon. And it works every time, I swear to God, without failure. You can use your stim beacon as a lure to ensure that your teammates push the dangerous territory that they need to. Before your smokes dissipate, that is. Some other fun facts about your stim beacon. It pairs best with the Phantom, so I pretty much always use the Phantom on Brimstone for 2 reasons. One, because it complements the high fire rate of it. I mean, that's an ode right there. And 2, so you can, as a character that has smokes, you should be able to spray through them, so I try to use silenced weapons as much as possible on Brimstone. And sorry,
Stim beacon here.
facts. As long as, along with increasing your fire rate by 15%, it also decreases the time it takes for your gun to recover from recoil. So it isn't recoil reduction, but it's post-recoil recovery. It decreases recoil recovery time. So tap shooting at long ranges is actually more powerful than stim beacon. So that's in a stim beacon, and now I gotta wait for stim to go away. And I'll try to do the same pace without it, and I'll show you the difference in recoil. Right? I mean, it went away, but you see how the recoil recovered on this one? Notice if I do this, which I'm gonna try to leave the same gaps in between my sprays. Right.
Right here.
You see that? It didn't recover. It recovered
right here.
When I had my stim beacon. It didn't recover when I didn't.
Stim beacon here.
Burst firing and tap shooting is actually super strong in your stim beacon.
Open up the sky!
Of course, using it in the ways I described to stop the defuse, right? But also use it to guarantee a kill. So just for example, if you know someone's playing U-Haul,
Open up the
if you ult it, they're dead. There's too many corners. They can't get out. Another slightly less common, say you know someone's playing up in elbow. If you ult it out, it also guarantees a kill. Their options are die or run into your bullets. So your ultimate does about 80 damage per second, and it takes 3 seconds to start up. So the enemy team could hypothetically get the bomb halved if they stick it through your ultimate. Now what I'd recommend to counter this is, keep track of your minimap. Say you're playing offsite with your ultimate, which you should be doing if you haven't, or it's a pretty common strategy if you have your ultimate. Say your teammate just died, right? And the enemy team is elbow. The teammate dies now. I'm gonna time it out.
Open up the sky!
So that I ult like as he gets to the bomb, but before he starts defusing, to make sure that he doesn't half it. Because, that can completely ruin strategies, like playing lineups. Oh, and that brings me to another piece. If you're playing offsite with your ultimate and a lineup molly, you want to pop your ulti first, immediately pop a molly, to ensure that they can defuse. Because you see how there's a time in between those, right? Now, if they have the bomb halved, which is you want to avoid, and then what you do is you pop the molly, then you pop the ultimate.
Open up the sky!
And this makes sure there's no gap in between it. But it also denies for a slightly shorter amount of time, so if it's not halved, don't do that. we're getting towards the end of the utility section of this guide, and I'm just going to show you one final tactic you can use on Brimstone, and it's called an execute, and it's actually a team tactic, but Brimstone is very good at it. And it's pretty simple. Basically, you just dump all of your util at the start of the round in order to guarantee a safe plan. So here we go. Let me just line these up.
Molly.
Boom. Boom, boom, boom.
Launching smoke.
Oh, don't peek that.
Open up the sky.
Here you go. What a beautiful view. And that molly's
Right
supposed
here.
to land right there, but oh well. Or, when paired with your ultimate, you can actually break one of the rules. This one is a cute little execute, I know.
Smoke's down.
Guarantees plant, right? Bad because they can play back sight, but
Open up the
they
sky.
can't play back sight when it's ultimate.
Molly.
Now you can plant right here. So,
Stim beacon
Stim
down.
right there. Yeah. So
Right
molly
here.
that, ult that, plant
Right here.
there, stim there. Like, you just punched B site in the face. There's nothing that the enemy team can do aside from push elbow through a smoke. That's their best play if they want to contest the plant. So as Brimstone with full util, you should be able to guarantee the plant, right? There's no excuses. Also, just as, I know I briefly went over this, but this is an important concept as Brimstone, is you want to spread out your util over the round. And that's because your util gets stronger as the round goes on. Obviously, it's more valuable to deny an angle when there's 20 seconds left in the round than it is to deny an angle when there's 1 minute and 20 seconds left in the round, right? So, or it's more useful to deny post plant when there's 8 seconds left in the bomb when there's 40. So you can see how pretty much all of your kit gets more useful as the round goes on. So you want to make sure that you're spreading out your util. So let's say that it's later, you're doing like a rifle round. Boom, rifle. Team's going A, right? I'm gonna drop
Launching
these two
smoke.
smokes because we're
Right
pushing
here.
for short.
Stim
And
beacon
drop
down.
stim beacon, right? And then the call gets made to rotate. And boom. Now, here's what I have. I still have one more smoke, my molly, and a stim beacon,
Smoke's down. Stim beacon here.
right? So you have 2 chances to take a site if you spread out your util, versus just dumping everything on one site, which again is called an execute, but most of the time you want to be spreading it out. That's just an example of how you do that.
Right here.
Alright, and now I'm going to be analyzing one of my own videos, and this is something that I, nor you, do nearly enough, but it is super helpful. And this is a game where I use a shotgun half the time, because I'm on an alternate account called Shotgun and Deagle. But I'm still using good Brimstone strategy throughout, and eventually we do win this game, and I do drop, I think, 25 in this game, and it's not because I'm good. I'm terrible. But it is a pretty good game for my Brim, and it's not perfect. There are definitely some huge mistakes that I made in this game, and this is one of them. Yep, I'm just gonna play, yep. Oh god. Definitely some big mistakes I have made in this game, and I'm gonna try to outline them so that you don't make them. And I'm also gonna outline the things that I did well. Alright, and this marks the end of like my intense analysis. This is just gonna be a casting of one of my games, so sit back and enjoy. It's gonna be a little bit.
They're not going to showers.
Launching smoke.
Makes me sad.
Smoke. Oh, the fuck.
Enemy
Smoke's down.
Careful now.
Spike planted. One enemy remaining.
Nice.
Spicy like that.
Wall raised.
Wow.
Smoke's down.
Alright, so you might not have caught it, but this right here is a good example of me smoking on the fly. I see that Killjoy has LOS in hookah. Whatever is going to happen in that gunfight is going to happen in the next 3 seconds. If she gets a kill, I want to make sure that the enemy team doesn't trade it. So I smoke as soon as Killjoy sees an enemy player. Because, like I said, that gunfight is going to happen within the next 3 seconds, which is the drop time of my smoke. And I'm not going to... My next smoke I drop is at the edge of hookah after Killjoy gives it up, right? but I'm not going to do the edge of hookah while Killjoy is still trying to maintain a position in hookah. That's just a good example of smoking on the fly.
Stim beacon here.
So that was actually a mistake on my part. Just then, when I got smoked off and my Reyna was on site, I should have stimmed her, because it's not a good idea for me to go down with her, but I want to try to support her position, so I should just toss a stim beacon through that smoke when the Reyna is still alive on site. Let me just show you. Right here. Right here. I should be tossing a stim beacon and rotating to elbow. Slight mistake on my part.
Planted.
You're out.
Actually hate this
Going up.
position so much. Gotta hold on.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
Launching smoke.
Might rotate off this.
Stim beacon here.
Just, I think, better for us. I learned from my mistakes. I did what I was supposed to. Stimmed backside.
Enemy down.
That right there was just awareness. I know that Phoenix was elbow, Sage killed Phoenix, and I don't need to look elbow anymore. And somebody died on A site, so I'm gonna rotate over because they are likely rotating. I was looking at the radius to see if they were likely to hear me.
One enemy remaining.
Bob. So my positioning here is actually very intentional. Here, I'm just gonna mute myself real quick. I'm playing backside on Brimstone, which on bind doesn't have mid, is the second best thing. Backside allows you to not die, and it makes the rotate faster for you, which again is what you want to do as Brimstone, not die and rotate. Tragic, I die misusing my own lineup, or my own one-way. Fun fact, if you go all the way to the right on that staircase, your one-way stops working. You have to stay slightly to the left for them to not be able to see you, and I forgot about that, and I died because of it. And then, yeah, stack 3. Try not to die, don't push up, play B. So, there's multiple reasons I just made that call. Brimstone is almost as good as a sentinel at holding sights. And also, I'm better optimized for B this game because I'm using a shotgun, so obviously I want to be playing in hookah with a shotgun. Now this goes against traditional logic, playing backside and rotating, but I'm kind of just using a Bucky, so there's my explanation for that. Anyway, decent call, switching up sides because it didn't work. Or 1 and 4, you know.
One short.
Enemy spotted.
There is.
I can smoke that from here.
Launching
Here, just
smoke.
short at least.
See that? I just dropped a smoke on A site from B site. Make sure to use the global range of Brimstone. So, this is actually great. Alright.
Initiated.
So right there, I didn't really say it, but I said I'm gonna wait to see where the bomb is planted so that I can smoke the correct angles, which goes into what I said about adjusting your smokes to the positioning of the enemy team. I think I just realized that they planted it short, so I'm gonna be smoking off line of sight from showers and probably A short.
Spike planted.
Smoke's down.
One enemy remaining.
Molly.
What a big boy.
Don't interrupt my work.
Were you getting it? So that was a cool little tandem there of good principle. I smoked common angles where people play, I smoked A short, and Killjoy happened to be playing there. And I realized that it was a 2v1, so I mollied it and watched the smoke as my Killjoy diffused. It was a good use of my utility. So the cool thing about bind is you can usually smoke
Right here.
both sides. By the way, the smokes to
Turret
stop
out.
B are here and here. Or if you have someone playing hookah, you smoke here. If you have someone playing octagon, you smoke here. Or if you just have someone like Sage is doing right now, holding that LOS, smoke right there. want to deny as much control as possible, but you don't want to be overconfident, right? Like if they already have
Right
it, it's
here.
not gonna smoke it.
You have to go, guys.
Alright.
Launching smoke. Stim beacon down. Prepare for hellfire.
I have to push it.
Molly. Joke's over. You're dead.
Reloading. Last player standing.
Taken down.
Thirty seconds left. Spike planted.
Stim beacon here.
Hold on, pause. What I just did there was a cute little strategy. The enemy team can see where your stim beacon is. So I made sure to pop it behind me so that there was a low chance that they would be able to see the radius of my stim beacon, which gives the enemy team less information. Because obviously if I just pop my stim beacon out an elbow in an easily visible location, they know that I'm elbow. When at the moment, I'm currently threatening wrapping around back CT, and I don't want to confirm that I'm elbow by giving away my position with my stim beacon. So,
Stim beacon here. That's 3.
fuck with me. Always clutch on you. There's one pushing elbow.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, nice try.
Launching smoke. Open up the sky.
They're running back, Mark.
Let's see if
Smoke's down. Stim beacon down.
Still in sight.
Reloading.
Spike here.
Close.
I'm too stubborn to
Sage, you
die.
good, dog?
I wasn't paying attention.
Alright. They just
Together.
lost B. Just, gonna put that on A. Is it because I have op? Maybe
Smoke's
it's
down.
That makes them more likely to shift walk.
You can molly.
Enemy down.
I would just like to take a second to pat myself on the back. The last 10 seconds me muttering to myself was a coalition of really good game sense and really good smokes. So you might not have heard it, but I said, they just lost on B, I'm gonna 3-stack A, right? Which is exactly what they did, and I was using an operator, so I went to heaven, and then I said, because I'm using an op, I'm going to smoke further down and short than I normally do, because they're going to be careful pushing out of that smoke, shift walking, which makes them super easy for me to pick them off with a smoke. And I didn't know any of this as the round was starting, right? But I did it all, and it all kind of worked in my favor.
You can molly.
Enemy down.
In fact, people usually shift walk out of a smoke.
Headshot. For you.
God, I'm so fucking smart sometimes. I swear, it's fucking unnerve me, dude. I'm OP. How do you counter that? You can't counter that. Just kidding.
Shower.
Why are they?
Smoke's down.
She's bad.
Smoke's down.
Doesn't deserve to
Stim
be
beacon
so.
here.
Right here's the wombo combo. It's smoking a choke point, stimming yourself, and ADSing with an Odin. This is how you get pentas as Brimstone. Trust me, I've gotten many pentas as Brimstone this way.
Launching smoke. Stim beacon down. Prepare for hellfire.
One enemy remaining.
Usually only works if they don't do a split. Right.
Launching smoke. Stim beacon here. Open up the sky. At ease, soldier.
So right there I see Sova's droning, and I know he's droning from long. You can pretty much always kill a droning Sova with your ultimate if you have an idea of where they're droning from. Because they have to exit the screen of the drone and then run away, which is one too many steps, and they die. Lol. Sova's spicy.
Yeah, that was nice actually. They were both perfectly timed.
Stinger, super strong. Alright, fun lineups for Brim. If you sit right
Here.
in this corner, standing, put the tip of your flame, see the tip of my flame icon right here on this leaf, it is going to molly
Right here.
If I move it over to this leaf, it's going to molly
Right here.
So surround you effectively. So you want to be careful with your smokes. Don't place them too forward. But I'm also, one thing I'm not going to do is because they can still shoot us from backside. So you don't want to be, you want to have a balance between
Embarrassing.
Reloaded.
Cutting their vision.
Smoke's down.
That's
Stim beacon here.
Push.
Reloaded. Eliminate.
Idiot. Sorry, bomb plants or situation.
Need a drop, thank you.
Watch and learn. Stim beacon here.
Enemy
Smoke's
spotted.
down.
So this is a bad call by me. I didn't really have any indication that we were going to be rushing A, but I dropped all 3 smokes anyway, and now I don't have any util for B, and my team basically has to do it on their own. So this was a pretty big mistake on my part, and I realized it immediately, but oh well, can I do it?
Stim beacon here.
Barrier created.
Right here.
Healing
Alright,
you.
play Molly line up and ult. So just don't die in the first 10 seconds so you win.
Planted.
Alright, so the timing for Brim, as soon as you... Molly takes 8 seconds to fly. Your ult in total lasts 8 seconds, so... You want to shoot your Molly as soon as you cast your ultimate.
Joke's over. You're dead.
Last player standing.
I'm gonna get a perfect example of that.
Open up the sky. Molly.
One enemy remaining.
You can't win.
Clutch.
Bunch of guys.
Yeah, let's rotate. Killjoy, can you take TP? Motherfucking.
I'm stuck, dude. I'm stuck.
You're garbage, that's what you are.
Launching smoke. Stim beacon here.
I'm sorry, Killjoy, that was mean.
Nah, no problem. Fuck you.
Match point.
So that was actually a pretty big mistake on my part. So the Killjoy died with bomb 2 rounds in a row, and I was pretty upset about it. But I shouldn't have said anything. So 2 rounds earlier, I think it was our Reyna, I forget who, said that Brimstone is the spine of this team, which is true. I was playing well and playing for round wins. And because of that, teammates were listening to my calls. So when I called the rotate, most people rotated except Killjoy, who exclaimed that she was stuck. And then I said, no, you're not stuck, you're just bad. So by doing that, it's not helping at all. Like, your teammates aren't going to play better if you yell at them. And especially as someone who is like the in-game leader, you definitely shouldn't be roasting your teammates. So that was a big mistake on my part, and it didn't even have to do with gameplay. You just have to be careful about what you say as Brimstone. You sort of have a responsibility not to be an asshole. Sorry, Killjoy just almost fainted at the 1 2 rounds in a row, dude. Triggered me a little bit.
Safety's off.
Reloaded.
Like it. That's the aggression.
Smoke's down.
We have you all.
Stim beacon here.
Right here.
Towers.
Now, I'm not paying attention here, and I think we lose this round because of it. One, I'm late with my utility, and two, I'm not paying attention to my teammates dying in showers. I had a third smoke and I should have dropped at showers instead of just feeling rushed and going on to site. Also, Killjoy's ending with the bomb again, but whatever. Check back side, check back side. My bad, my bad.
Couldn't see you that time.
Last player standing.
Put down.
I did all of that. Should I have done? So I was pretty confused this round, and it's just because I wasn't paying attention for the first part, and things happened faster than I thought they would. Right? Like, I was late with my util, I didn't pay attention to what was happening in showers, and I wasn't positioned properly to deal with that. And even after this round, I'm still confused about what happened. And there was some blame on my Killjoy for planting in a position that was exposed to showers where her teammates died, so she was also unaware, but, you know, it's also my fault. Alright, so they had backside and they were showers, I knew that. I think I just played a short there. And I should have covered the Killjoy's plan. But how do I
They're
do that?
just batteries, and I need a recharge.
It's actually a little bit on the Killjoy. She should have planted here instead of there, because they can pick showers way too easily. We're not pushing.
Satisfying.
Alright, we got the pitch.
Launching smoke. Stim beacon down. Reloading. Molly.
Placing sentry.
Oh, everyone's there, rotate. So I was counting players right there. I know the Reyna's back site, I saw the race to the left, and I saw the Brimstone with the operator, and I saw Sova's drone, right? And I kind of just am mentally counting, oh, everybody's there, rotate. And I died, unfortunately, but I made the round-winning call here. And you'll see it play out.
The hunt begins.
Yeah, I spotted two, and I was like, alright, you can push on. Nope, two watching below hookah. I like it.
30 seconds left. One enemy remaining.
Nice job, Brandon. Good game.
Attackers win. Is the breathing? Excellent. Then they will cover.
I definitely messed up. It wasn't a perfect game, but it was good enough.
Yep, I fell all the way back.
Smoke's down.
You closed door probably.
Yeah, I'm watching.
Down and out. Open up the sky. That's three.
How is he in heaven? Are you on site or what?
One enemy remaining.
Hey,
Okay.
just give me that baby.
Okay! Alright, thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this 15-minute video, I am genuinely surprised. Make sure that you give this one a like because it took really long to edit, and I'm going to leave my Twitch down in the description, so you can check me out if you want to see more Brimstone games there. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.